मित्रा मित्रा पार्टी ना जरा
एक फोटो का
मित्रा थोड़ा पार्टी ना सिक्योरिटी अरे मित्रा पार्टी ना
वेट थोड़ा सा वेट
इमरान सर यहाँ पे
इमरान सर लेफ्ट में ऑन योर लेफ्ट सर यहाँ पे चले सर चलो आगे यहाँ आगे भी आगे
चलो कुछ नहीं होगा
इमरान जी
जी
साइलेंस।
तो यहाँ पे हमारी फिल्म स्क्रीन हो रही है वंस अपॉन अ टाइम मुंबई। रिलीज हुई थी 2010 में और मैंने एक्चुअली एक हफ्ते पहले देखी फिल्म एंड ऑब्वियसली ऑडियंस ने यहाँ फिल्म देखी है। आई सॉ इट आफ्टर 8 years, तो एक थोड़ा सा एक नॉस्टैल्जिक फील भी है। और आज ये जागरण फिल्म फेस्टिवल में हम फिल्म के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे एंड जस्ट रीविजिटिंग जो अच्छी चीज़ें हैं फिल्म के बारे में। उस वक्त क्या एक्सेप्टेंस थी ऑडियंस की, क्रिटिक्स की, क्या ऑडियंस ने पसंद किया था। मैं जानना चाहता हूँ फिर से एक तरह से यहाँ की ऑडियंस से क्या पसंद करते हैं 8 साल के बाद। इज़ इट स्टिल एज रेलिवेंट एज इट वाज 8 years बिफोर। तो बस ये चीज़ है, यू हैव टू हैव सम फन।
2018 में भी आप इस तरह की कुछ फिल्में क्या आप करते हुए देखें?
ये पर्टिकुलर फिल्म नहीं कहूँगा गैंगस्टर, लेकिन अगर इस जॉनर की फिल्म में इसमें कुछ नया मिले मुझे, क्योंकि इस जॉनर में एक बहुत ही ट्रिकी बात यह है कि इन फिल्मों ने एक तरह से एक मकाम बना लिया है। दे हैव बीन माइलस्टोन्स अपार्ट फ्रॉम वंस अपॉन अ टाइम मुंबई। दूसरी फिल्में भी हैं। अगर मुझे एक स्क्रिप्ट मिली, इट हैज़ टू समवेयर बी मच बेटर, इट हैज़ टू बी मोर इवॉल्व्ड वर्जन एंड जो कैरेक्टर प्ले करूँगा इट हैज़ टू बी complete departure from what Shoaib was in Once Upon a Time Mumbai. तो इसके बारे में कह नहीं सकता हूँ। It depends on the script, on the director, on the writer. तो इन सब चीज़ों पे yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Once upon a time in Mumbai, we have with us a gentleman who was just reading a last interview of yours, and the headline of the interview was don't pay too much attention to that. I'm absolutely certain, Emraan, that you will not disappoint. Would you like to sit or do you want to do this?
No, you can see me if I sit down.
Is it okay if we sit? Just let us know.
Please let him sit. Also to move around.
That's a good idea. So obviously, the first part of this conversation is going to be about the film that everyone has just watched, Once Upon a Time in Mumbai. You said you revisited the film after 8 years.
Yes, sir.
A week ago.
Yeah.
When you look back at the film, what is it that you think you should change? What are the things that still wrong for you?
I don't think I would want to change anything for the film. When I heard about, when I was invited for this session today, I had to revisit the film because obviously it was a lot of memories, a bit foggy. I had to get back and see it after 8 years and see the good stuff, and just it was very nostalgic for me. I didn't know what to expect because there was a very visible reaction when I saw the film 8 years back. I remember we were on 10 minutes. This film, I think there was more drama of the film also. It was a very dramatic just to give you a bit of a trivia, 35% of the film was shot 35 or 40 days before the release. Yeah, we actually, the promos were up on air.
Before the release?
Yes. The promos were up on air, we were airborne. And we get a frantic call from the producer and the director, probably around 40 days before the release. So yeah, we have a problem. We have a second half that doesn't work. We have a first half that flies, that's immaculate, flawless. But we have a second half that's just not working. It is a dreaded second half. You know, like you discuss things, and you start at a high point, and again you have to introduce and get their attention into it. And like it or not, the last 30 minutes is the impression they're going to have of the film. You might have a brilliant first half, but the last 30 minutes is what decides what the person says. Either they praise your film or they show a film finger when they leave the hall. So we had a problem with the second half. So we regrouped and we were given these 40 days. Principal actors got on the dates. We had to cancel our other shoots. The supporting cast came in. And Rajat brought some brilliant scenes in the second half. A lot of scenes that were restructured. There's a party scene, there's a scene where the goods were smuggled, where he actually does the first job for Sultan, where I'm wearing a police hat. So all that is reshot. And then we saw it, and I remember Ekta was very, very nervous the day when we all saw the trial show. And I saw the film, and I typed a message to her and I said, we have a super film on our hands. And because everyone needed a certain objective view, I think even Ekta and Milan were seeing it very often in the edit. Slowly, in the beginning, it takes some time to kind of obviously introduce the characters. It takes around 25 minutes to kick in the second year. But once you get there, you have the narrative of Sultan and Shoaib, and you understand what their ambitions, then you're hooked. You're in fifth year, and it just hooks you at the end. And I'm a very critical person. I'm very, very critical of my films. So I was sitting there thinking I would be shooting holes and things after 8 years, but none whatsoever. I would say that it's a very, very pleasing watch.
I would think the audience thinks the same. Give it up for the film. Really loved it.
I don't know if you actually saw the film. A lot of people saw it the first time, or people have seen it the second time? Second time. Who've seen it for the first time? Oh, okay. Alright. I guess these are the theaters do have more collections, but
like how it comes to profession, actors. But in terms of lead and performances, Emraan, this would also be a turning point for you, because until this point, the kind of films that you were doing were very different. Let's just put it that way for now, and of course we'll get into those movies as well. This was a film which was very different, even genre-wise, particularly genre-wise. So when you're getting out of what is quote-unquote your comfort zone, you have to try a little harder. You need to do a lot more prep for a role like this than you would have in the past, because you could research them, because you knew exactly what to do in those films.
Oh yeah, completely. I was going through a phase in my life that was my professionally where I was very, very bored of what I was doing. This background.
The movie still played, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Someone's marking the dialogues here. So, I was going through a very bored phase. I felt that I had reached a kind of saturation point with the stuff I was doing. I was working, there was the small, medium budget films, mainly a lot of thrillers. I had accepted the certain tag struggles. And I just, not to get away from a particular image or a label, I think I benefited a lot from that. But as a creative person, you suddenly start sleepwalking through roles, and you come back home and you're like, God, this is getting easy. You need to really try something else. You need to be on your toes. You need to bring the element of risk and just do something new for your creative juices to get flowing. And I had a bad batch before that. I had 4 or 5 back-to-back films that didn't work, and that was Neil Diya. That made me understand that barring obviously the films were not going to live up to the expectations. But I just felt it was very important to do something different. I did a film called Avarapan, which was a hugely successful film, not in theatres. Like if you should ask a lot of people, Avarapan is one of my career-defining films, but it didn't do well.
This is very different from what you've done.
Very different. So that was the first step in that direction. Then there was Jannat, which was a commercial success. Again, every point of standpoint, it was a return of revenue. It was a film that was made for under 6 crores. It ended up at that point making 34 crores at the box office. So phenomenal hit. And just post that hit, 2 weeks after that, kind of consolidated my position as a leading man in another genre. I think that gave Ekta and Milan the confidence that there was this slot for this character in this film that was not written out completely. Once Upon a Time Mumbai was just an, I think, a 10-page of an idea. And they said that, yeah, let's see if we can get Emraan on board. And they came narrating the script to me, not the full-fledged script, obviously. And I was sold. And I think that was, the need of the art. I wanted to do something different. Like you spoke about, I need my time away from the actor when I, come out of a film set. I don't go to film parties. I don't take that back home. So in that way, I was pretty grounded. How was I finding a voice and pitching it to an audience that I didn't completely understand? I had everything on paper. I had the script. I tried my best to understand these guys. Yes, I was surrounded with people. I've obviously brought up to Bombay. It's not like you only are conversing with people in Bangalore. I've had people with different economic struggles, class of society who I've interacted with, where I understood something and I kind of invited from. Of course, we, because these are low budget films in the beginning, we obviously get sponsored events, and back then promotional campaigns were very, very different. So there were more ground events. So I think the first 5 years, I did so many ground events of just going to places, stores, malls, cinema halls, and just interacting with fans one-on-one and as crowds, and got a sense of what they like. I made it a point for the first 5-7 years to go and sit in the backseat of Ghoda Galaxy. That was my learning. I wanted to go sit over there and see what they were reacting to, when they were using me. Generally it was when I was a casino screen. And when they were applauding me. So that was my schooling. That's how I understood this audience. This audience that I never really fully understood in the beginning. And I felt I would never understand. I understood every clap of this in that cinema hall. Like, okay, this is what, like I said the dialogue this way. This is the dialogue that connects. This is the guy's journey that connects with these people. Like the scene of Jannat. A man's rage in the system, that he's not got equal opportunities. He goes and breaks a jewelry store showcase window to take that necklace. It's the angst and the rage that the common man feels, that he hasn't got that chance, although it was morally incorrect. But still there was something aspirational about the man's drive. Even if you see a film like this, Shoaib, his ulterior motive would be very flawed if you actually go down to kind of, studying that. But you admire the guy's drive. You admire his drive to go.
There's so much created out of a consensus in terms of the audiences will like it. How restrictive does that make you as an actor in terms of risks that you can take? At least the first few years of your acting.
You have to somewhere actually getting the reaction of the crowd. You can't constantly churn out the same kind of characters, and you have to somewhere variate the space, the genre. There could be a semblance in the arc, in the eventual drive, motivation, ambition, money, thrill seeker, roguish. But the core essence for our country at least is that there are certain works that our audience has. Don't ask me why those works are there. Like, there's a film of mine that didn't work, it was a projector. My loyal fan base in the theatre didn't know why I was getting slapped and why I was not slapping the guy's back. There are these two other actors, and I don't eventually take kind of revenge in the end of the film that they were expecting, like a payback. In the end, he's standing with a banana, and it's supposed to be a comic punch, but people didn't get it. People wanted this guy to trash the living daylights out of these two guys who had assaulted me at midpoint. They didn't get it. The film didn't work at the box office. This is the payback that the audience wants somewhere. And then in the context of that, do different things in the film.
So no open hand, no subtlety, any other rules for a Bollywood hit?
I think that's changing right now. I'm talking about probably 7-8 years back.
Those were the restrictions that you had back then.
There was a tone and tenor of the films, and they were working because it was kind of purposely being instilled in the journey of these characters and in the film. But yeah, I think that they were kind of formulaic. Today, a formula won't work. Okay, we've seen that. When we make formulaic films, we burn our hands with a film that doesn't work at the box office. because people have become very opinionated about films. They have low tolerance for film that they've seen before, or subject that been there, done that. That's what a formulaic film brings to you.
क्या आपने कुछ बच्चे के रिएक्शंस देखी थी उस फिल्म में जब शूट हुआ, क्योंकि आप जब वो थप्पड़ खाता है और आपने भी जब थप्पड़ खाए, तो आपकी जो रिएक्शंस थी दोनों की बहुत ही मेल खाती, तो क्या आपने उस बच्चे को देखा था कि वो कैसे बिहेव कर रहा है तो मैं बड़ा होकर एक्टिंग में?
आई थिंक क्या है कि जब कोई थप्पड़ खाता है तो रिएक्शन जल्दी से इसमें मैं ना अपने खुद को क्रेडिट दूंगा, ना बच्चे को दूंगा, ना डायरेक्टर को दूंगा. बट कमिंग बैक टू द क्वेश्चन, इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग. लेकिन जहाँ तक मुझे याद है, आई थिंक ये शूटिंग पहले हुई थी, क्योंकि फिल्म क्रोनोलॉजिकली शूट हुई थी. डायरेक्टर को कहीं एक सेंस चाहिए था कि अच्छा ये मैं वर्ल्ड क्रिएट कर रहा हूँ खुद के लिए, क्लियर होने के लिए कि ये जो बॉम्बे से शुरुआत होती है दो बच्चों की कहानी, और जाके ये लोग दोनों इस दूसरी दुनिया में आते हैं. सुल्तान बनता है, शोएब बनता है. डायरेक्टर की क्लैरिटी के लिए विलन ने ये दो हिस्से जो हैं फिल्म के, शोएब के बचपन के और सुल्तान के पहले शूट किए थे, ये मुझे याद है. एंड आई थिंक एक सेंस ऑफ क्लैरिटी मिलती है. अगर उन्होंने हमारे सीन्स पहले शूट किए होते तो आई थिंक इट वुड बी स्लाइटली कंफ्यूजिंग. एटलीस्ट यू नो नाउ वेयर दे कम फ्रॉम, कि बच्चों की परफॉर्मेंस कैसी थी, और अभी जब आप देख रहे हो the adult actors shooting the scenes, how you would adapt that, because you've seen the kids and that's what the audience is seeing first.
Like, is it a risk taking something like that? Like, what was going in your mind?
The director said that there was no kissing scene in the film. That's quite irritating. I am so sick of it, I'm telling you. And then they just caught me, because then they added the scene in the film later on. But it was a film which was about match fixing, and I felt that was very interesting place to be, a genre to have a love story, have a man's ambitions to get into, and that time IPL was just starting off. So there was this cricket hysteria that was there in the country that suddenly had taken the next step, and it was suddenly revived the cricketing fever. And we released the film on the first IPL day. Kolkata Knight Riders was playing, and we were very nervous because we were in Kolkata that day. And we felt the film would open in Kolkata, and there were like 1,000 people outside the cinema hall, which meant that the choice that I made on the script level in the beginning, all of us have made, somewhere worked, because it was connecting people with cricket, the view of cricket, with love, with romance, with great music, and just very thrilling end to the film. So those are the things I was looking at to reinvent myself, genre-wise, as an actor who was doing a certain kind of cinema. And it paid off. This side, please. Yeah. I've opened up my production company, and there's a film that we announced last month, which is called Cheat India. It's about our flawed education system. Yeah, that's the kind of film that I've always. It kind of is an extension of my taste in cinema. Again, a character that will be universally loved and kind of disliked because he has great tones, and it's a very different space. So I've opened my production company so I can really, get into and sink my teeth in the film from the infancy, from the stage of script writing, right to its ultimate end, which is released. You don't get to do that if you're not a producer. You step on board with the director's narration, and you step out after you're dubbing, maybe the marketing of the film. But as a producer, I would get to see each and every aspect and phase, and I'll be part of the decision making from the beginning right to the end. So this is a very new beginning for me. So yeah, I would probably do more films where I kind of I'll be picking and choosing. This is the film that I would want to watch.
Well, speaking of which, you did a film with that film. Do we get to see it? Perhaps played at a festival at least.
It only went international, never released here. We had filmed we had it in the Berlinale, we had it in the Toronto Film Festival, we did in New York. The problem over here was there was a dispute between producers, and the film didn't release when it had to, 4 years back. And by the time that dispute was resolved, we have another dispute of the India-Pakistan conflict, because the protagonist is a Pakistani protagonist. So now you can't have a film of that. We'll have a couple of theatres burned down. So you can't have a film in this environment to release. It's a brilliant film. It gives a brilliant message out there. It's a very bold film. My heart goes out to the team, the director, because they worked on the film for 10 years before we actually got down to shoot the film. It just that's what happened to some of the films, and I'm hoping it's in the cans. People are liking it. It got awarded at the Berlinale 3 years back. But I would want my country to see it. So hoping something gets resolved and we kind of accept films and flags from there.
But we can start with creating word of mouth at the Ghoda Festival next year, right? Last 2 questions.
So, certain kind of cinema like and you mentioned is that it's like biopics like and there's Mr. X. So when such movies don't click in the box office, but your performance is appreciated nonetheless, but so how do you cope up with such kind of criticism, and how do you in future select projects?
It's a very tricky phase when you have films that you completely have your faith in the subject matter, you have faith in everything. But it's just one of those things, you're trying to create music, you're trying to make a melody, and sometimes someone goes off. And I'm not blaming one person, but what happens is that the team it's not in sync. Sometimes films don't, there's no synergy of the efforts that are put in them. Films don't eventually become the films that you expect them to become. There is a palpable fear that kind of arises in every actor that, okay, I made a decision, I felt the audience would like it, but why are they not liking it? But it comes down to the fact where you have to be really, really harsh on the film and then understand that no, it wasn't the kind of film that my audience would like, and I have to be very, very clear about that. I have to face that. I can't feel that, okay, it's a good film and the audience kind of panned it. Why did that happen? So these films didn't really live up to the audience expectation. But you don't have to get deterred with that. You keep reinventing yourself and keep trying out different things. There's one thing, if there's one way you don't make a flop film or a failure here, you just don't make a film. That's why you avoid making a failure. So the idea is to keep moving and not get too bogged down. The idea is you can't get too swayed by successes. Success is equally damaging. It's probably more damaging than failures. It can drive you crazy. And there are a lot of people who've done 1 or 2 films and then completely gone mad after success. I think failure strengthens.
You never went mental with the early success?
I never. People think I'm slightly mental because people don't see the kind of elation when a film is successful. Probably generally some actors would show. Nor do I get that dejected. I've had directors who've locked themselves up in rooms for 2-3 days after the film doesn't work. They start imagining that people are abusing them, audiences around the country are abusing them, and I don't know what goes on in their head. I don't make too much of it. I don't associate my self-worth to success and failures. I think you're more than just that. You have to be more than just your profession, right? If all your self-esteem and your self-confidence is only associated with films, it's going to end one day, right? I mean, it's not going to last forever. You're going to hit the bottom, what are you going to do? So you have to be slightly grounded about that, about successes and about failures.
Do you hit the bottom at all?
No, I don't. I don't drink at all. I don't drink. That's why I don't go to film parties.
So you're this complete bad boy on screen. I see him who stays at home.
I sin
quite sad to hear
I sin enough on screen, but it's not that I see. That's the thing. People feel that yeah, film party mein ja rahe to ghar pe baitha hua. I have a life away from that. It's not like I only sit at home. I have an eventful life. It's just that people don't see it. I don't like to go to film parties and constantly get clicked because.
What are your other interests outside of films, if I may ask?
Well, I love traveling. That's one thing I do whenever I get time off. Traveling with family and friends. Fitness is one thing I found after this film, after Once Upon a Time in Mumbai. I just, try to do as many things. Traveling, a bit of sports, watching films, reading books. That's what keeps me, what turns me on.
Yeah, wait, it's...
घंटा। हाँ एग्जिट यहाँ से ही है। और भी न्यूज़र है क्या तुम्हारे लिए, मतलब स्पेशल ट्रेनिंग वगैरह भी जाते आते रहता हूँ ना, तो थोड़ा सा बता देगा ना, नंबर दे देगा क्या?
मेरे को खुद को ऑफिस से बुला था,
मतलब ऑफिस से इधर जाने का? फिल्म मेकिंग स्पेशलिस्ट है या क्या?
मैं
हाँ
सिर्फ न्यूज़ कवर करता हूँ।
सिर्फ जी न्यूज़?
न्यूज़ कवर।
अरे
ए संजय,
अरे सिक्योरिटी इमरान भाई पीछे, इमरान भाई भाई गाड़ी में आने दो, गाड़ी आने दो, उतरना थोड़ना है।
अरे यार
आने दो हाँ चलो गाड़ी तो
ए संजय
ये पीछे आ रहा भाई।
पूरा विजुअल लेगा क्या घर तक आने तक? काम कर रहे हैं घर से आने तक क्या विजुअल ले लेते?
नहीं इधर नहीं उधर आगे
मार तो तू
लाइट पर पूछे थी, लाइट पर सीईओ
हॅलो हाँ ये लवकर आला
संजय तुम्हारे बीच में
कुमारस्वामी हॉल कुमारस्वामी हॉल ठीक है हाँ लवकर जागीर आठ गल्लीच्या मागे
विनायक नको जाऊ विनायक विनायक सगळ्यांना भेटेल अरे यार हे पण
ऐकलं उधर
ए मोबाईल पीछे हो जा भेटेल तर आपला ते पण
मोबाईल देख ना
सर एक फोटो करेंगे ना सर इधर ही अरे मित्र जरा पाटील ना